Near the podium, the floating orb turned yellow, and the alien in charge, to me he'll always be Squicky, interrupted for the 99th time. Inadequate! Take your art and leave. Leave now. It had been the same for all who came before. They got up, spoke about some merits of our species or planet, our great potential, whatever. And the blue orb eventually turned yellow, followed by a harsh dismissal. Creative types lasted the least time. Soft sciences not much longer. Hard scientists lasted a little longer. The DARPA guys, and gal, seemed to stay at the podium longest. What do I have to offer? I write science fiction, for fuck's sake. I think I got here because I share a name with some sort of physicist. There's no way they'll let me talk long enough to read something I wrote or create a new story for them. None of the arguments based on arts or sciences seem to work. No way I can fake the science. I can't promise. Ugh. Rubbing my neck where the guard behind me applied his zap stick, think weak-ass taser about on par with licking a 9-volt battery, I stood, turned to him, her, and gave my best smile. They flinched and looked at the stick. Oh, for fuck's sake, is that it? Exuding every bit of confidence I lacked, I strode to the small dais where we, the meek defenders of our planet, were expected to beg and right past it, smiling, thinking of their worlds burning. Baring every tooth I could, I started on the left edge of the semicircular table and strode in front of each of our 37 judges assembled here. Yes, judges, and they all flinched. Blowing a kiss to the last judge, I stepped back to the podium, kicked the lectern over, and sat on it. The guards, finally catching up, took station to either side and slightly behind me. I could hear the slight whine of their zapsticks charging. Is the next stunner level more like 2 9-volt batteries? Ooh. Still smiling like a madman, I beamed my pearly whites at them and said, "Go on. Destroy my planet." The orb wasn't yellow yet. Maybe I was doing something right. Squicky was the first to recover his composure. Glaring at the orb, then at me, he began for the 100th time. "Tell this council of any reason your planet should be spared." "Shut it, Squicky. It shouldn't be. Destroy my planet." I paused briefly to lick my teeth. Starting from the left again, I continued while making eye contact with each member of this tribunal. "Destroy my planet, and all of yours will follow." What? The Squickies left, a furry blue creature with a head that was far too flat for my taste, seemed to be panicking. In fact, a number of them were wide-eyed, some slightly paler, and many now chattering amongst themselves. "You've met humans before. That's why you're here. You don't give a damn about the art, the promise of our species, or any of that shit. This farcical opportunity to defend ourselves is a ridiculous attempt to get us to show every achievement so you can assess the threat we pose. But why do that? Because you encountered a couple of us, right? And they scared you. What happened? Someone took them off planet to see if we'd make suitable slaves? Pets? And they got free?" On the other side of Squicky, a creature that looked like a Roswell Grey swallowed hard. "Ah, so that's it. And what? They didn't understand your tech, so they used it in ways you never expected." Grey Boy shuddered. Ignoring Squicky's attempts to regain control of his peers, I pointed to the alien closest to me on the right, the one I blew a kiss to earlier. "You. What's your name?" It recoiled, obviously fearful of being singled out. "Well, have you ever had a burning desire to destroy a universe?" No." "Yeah, me neither. But you see, destroying this planet will destroy at least a good chunk of this galaxy, if not the universe." Squicky pounded the table in front of him with, well, I have no idea what it was supposed to be, but he'd evidently figured out why judges on Earth had gavels. "Yes, friend?" I asked him. "You humans lack the technology to create such chaos." "Ah, that's sweet. You really don't get us, do you?" Pointing to his left, I tightened my smile to a more of a maniacal grin, and asked, "What technology did the humans escaping Bug-Eye's little friends use? And how much damage did they do in the process?" More anxious chatter, more pounding, and Squeaky had his work cut out calming his mob back down. Taking advantage of the break, I ignored them and stared at the blue orb. Hovering nearby, it cast light but little heat. Add a flame effect and it would make a good fireball. Imagine mages hurling balls of blue flame, much hotter than the traditional yellow. Oh. As I thought about it being used as a weapon, the sphere turned a marginally darker shade of blue. Interesting. What if I could find a way to short its power source and lob it at the aliens? It went to a much darker blue, and the aliens got really quiet. "What are you thinking of, human?" demanded Squeaky. "Hugs and kisses to you all," I lied. "No! Tell the truth." So much for giving my tired cheeks a rest. Resuming my broadest smile, I said, "Let me tell you a story. There once was 37 species trying to decide whether to engage in genocide. They had encountered this target species before and were terrified. With no idea how many had been taken off planet, they thought that destroying the homeworld was a good idea. At least that way, there would be no more humans escaping into polite society. How am I doing so far?" The orb was slightly lighter, and the expressions, well, trying to interpret expressions on unknown species is haphazard at best, but generally speaking, changes in coloration based on circulation, slack jaws, wide eyes, and other such things seem to provide a common, if not universal, method of reading reactions. Not too far off, it seems. I'll continue. They go to the planet to suss out whether the residents have a means of fighting back. Something missed in previous surveys. Swallowing, darting eyes, good signs. Bug-Eye's friends, among others, have been taking people off this world for a while now, and sometimes these specimens escape, find each other, and form social groups. My grey, bug-eyed friend was frantically whispering to Squeaky. "They never told anyone just how many humans were taken, did they? So any of you know?" Pausing for only a second to glance around, I continued. "No, I didn't think so. And what Buggy over there is telling Squeaky now is that we produce like crazy, so his buddies have no idea how many of us are out there." As the crowd started shouting at one another, Squeaky gestured to the guards behind me. As the buzzing sound of zapsticks got closer, I rolled backward for the upturned lectern, leapt to my feet, grabbed the surprised guards' hands which crushed in my grip, and pressed their sticks into one another. Both went down hard. Huh. Kidding. No. If I was one of my characters, that's how it would have gone. Me? I'm a bit squidgy around the edges, lacking in the dexterity department, and no acrobat. I simply turned around, smiled, showing as many teeth as I could. They flinched and looked at one another for... what? Support? Reassurance? No matter. I said to the slightly closer guard, "May I borrow that?" Then I took a long, swift step to his side, opposite the other guard, and grabbed the stick from his hand. He released it while trying to step back. A quick flick of the wrist and he went down hard. A second later, so did his buddy. This did Squeaky's job and quietened everyone down again. Pulling the other zap stick off the second unconscious guard, I chucked them over to the long table before resuming my seat. The aliens scattered from the sticks as they skidded across the surface. Taking advantage of the quiet, I resumed. Something neither of them has told you about is a concept called guerrilla warfare. It's something our species has developed time and again throughout history. A small group of individuals with no supply lines to compromise will take the weapons of their oppressors and turn them against their makers. Well, this has started happening in a small way. A few escapees of the... what? Thousands that Buggy's buddies take every year? A few escapees got understandably upset. But then they got away from their abductors and cooled off. Then they looked at their options for survival. They started looking for ways to get home. Well, most of them. A few might be having fun out there. Those, by the way, are the ones to watch out for. Me? I'm having fun here, because none of you understand what humans can do. I slid a couple of steps over so the orb was glowing right next to me. This does what, exactly? Read my thoughts? No, I don't think so. I get the feeling it's a cross between a threat detector and a lie detector. No threat goes yellow. Saw it flash orange a couple of times when others were making stuff up, so red probably means someone is lying. Blue? Well, not sure I understand blue yet. Let's give this a go. I have murdered people. Not all human, and not all of this world. The orb went a bit darker blue. I bragged about it. I told tens of thousands of others exactly how I did these things, and even our own law enforcement and military were powerless to stop me. I had the full attention of my audience. Even Squicky was silent. I'm just going to take a moment to think about the things I've done to people. Watch closely. Never fuck with an author. After my early start writing stories that became boring utopic documentaries with no plot, I finally understood. You can't coddle or protect your lead. Stories thrive on conflict. If you love your characters, you have to screw them over. Repeatedly. The more you love them, the worse you have to fuck them over. When my characters get away with merely being hunted by the people they love, they are getting off easy. But no. There have been stories I abandoned because they pulled from dark recesses of my mind that I feared. Standing by the orb, I thought about each one. Each despicable thing I did to those poor innocents, and a few not as innocents, and all of it true. I caused each and every harm that befell them. Murder, kidnapping, enslavement, rape, betrayal, genocide, drowning, plague, starvation, and the list goes on. As I mentally catalogued my sins against my characters, I turned my smile upon the orb. Still pulsing, it was more of a dark navy now, and pushing into a spectrum I couldn't see. I have destroyed stars. The orb seemed to radiate black. Must be some sort of ultraviolet. I have wiped entire species from existence. Deaths in the billions, trillions, all for my amusement. And I did it no more than a thought and a gesture. Me, an amateur in my field. A field humans have independently discovered repeatedly throughout our existence. One baked right into our souls. The judges stared in terror at the orb. None moved. You have no clue how many of the other humans out there are like me. So, destroy this little planet and no half measures. You could hit our planet with the 3 largest asteroids in this system and we'd still have survivors. You could crash our moon into our planet and we would eventually rebuild. But are you ready for the fun part? In doing so, you would remove hope from our brothers and sisters in the stars. Right now, that is the only thing keeping them from destroying you all. Committees keep records. The greater the atrocity, the better documented. At some point, a politician or intelligence agency will take credit for destroying this human threat. But they won't know how many humans are still out there. This act of bravado will be their last, and yours. Because the remaining humans, whether originally from this world or born to stranded victims of Buggy's kidnapping friends, will find out about every species present here today. And they will find every world where any of your people live, and they will do what humans do best. If you want to get rid of humans, you need to destroy every last one, and all at once. No disease will do that. No army. So here you sit today, not to determine the fate of my planet, but to determine whether any of your species will be permitted to survive. Nuzzling the orb, I finished. I strongly recommend that you make the protection of Earth and repatriation of our lost citizens your top priorities.